know. I just felt like I didn't want to hear about their summary judgment motion or like I had a lot of that already.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video, you are going to be seeing the dating or relationship in law school video that I have promised you guys for like forever now. I decided to do the video on Zoom. I guess like everybody that was in the video actually lives in LA. But you know me and my skin, I got micro needling done again, and so like my skin is peeling. I don't know if you can tell because I'm like facing the sun or whatever, but like I just feel like you may have not wanted to see the video in person like that. But either way, there are 3 students in this video. There's one 1L, another 2L, and then one person that actually graduated from law school already and is already an attorney, but she dated in law school. So yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Leave some questions, comments down below. So hi everyone, if you guys just want to go ahead and introduce yourself. So Kristen, if you want to go first.
Hi, I'm Kristen. I'm currently a 2L at USC. I'm from the Bay Area, and right now I'm living in downtown LA.
Okay, Zoe.
Hi everybody, I am Zoe. I am 1 year out of law school, so I'm a first year associate. And I went to UCLA, and I currently live just south of downtown LA in Norwalk.
Okay, Amanda.
Hi everyone, I'm Amanda. I'm a 1L at UCLA. I'm originally from South Florida, and I'm currently living in like West LA.
Yeah, okay, makes sense. So I think that all of us here are in relationships currently, I'm pretty sure. So this video is going to be about dating in law school, because I know Zoe and I were single for some point in law school. So we're going to talk about dating in law school, but also like how to maintain a relationship in law school, because I feel like people just think it's impossible, but we're all obviously doing it to some extent. So we're going to talk about that. So I guess if you guys want to go in the same order and just talk about like how long you've been in your relationship, how did you meet? Was it before law school or in law school?
Yeah, so I'll definitely be on the side of like maintaining the relationship, because my boyfriend and I have been together going on 8 years now. We're high school sweethearts. And so he's still in the Bay Area, and so we've been doing long distance.
Okay.
My husband and I have been together for 2 years, almost 2 years now. We met. Long story short, I was on a plane. I sat next to this girl, and she was like, we started talking. She was in law school, and I was like, it's so hard to date in law school. Basically, I needed this video. And she's like, oh, my best friend is single, and he's really nice. And I was like, okay, bet. Like, I'll go out with him. And so she set up a blind date, and the rest is history. So
sweet.
It's such an odd story, but yeah, I mean, you know, check the airplanes for your stuff.
Yeah. Me and my boyfriend been going out for almost 2 years in July. We were both working in New York, and we were just like friends for the period of time. And then the beginning of 2020, of course, we started like talking romantically like during COVID. And we've been long distance ever since.
Yeah. And so I'll jump in. I'll answer some questions. I'm not going to answer all of the questions because I don't want the video to be super long. But yeah, so I met my boyfriend it's been a year. So yeah. And we met in Miami randomly, but we used to live in the exact same apartment complex on the exact same floor. Literally, like I'm here, he's here.
At the same time too? Like at the same time period?
Literally.
Wow.
So wild.
So yeah. Crazy. So, okay. So I guess also people are wondering, like, if you're in law school, do you need to date someone that's like also in law school, or someone that's like completely disconnected from law school, someone that's also really busy? So I guess if you guys want to talk about like how much you're comfortable sharing, like what your partner does, and if you think that has an impact on the relationship.
Starting with me again.
Yeah. We'll go.
Okay. Yeah, so my boyfriend's a mechanical engineer at a research lab, and I mean, I've known no other way because he's always wanted to go into engineering. Mm-hmm. And I think that works really well for us, because when I don't want to talk about the law or law school, he's like, okay, cool, like let me tell you about this engineering thing. And I'm just like sitting there like, okay, yeah, I'm hearing some of your words. And then it's kind of nice because we can teach each other like things about our fields, which is also like a fun way to be like, oh yeah, I do know a good amount about this. So I think it works for us that we're not doing anything remotely close to each other.
Yeah, I think Jalen, my husband, and I actually have the opposite setup. He's also an attorney, but we do completely opposite different types of law. So we're kind of similar in some ways and different from you and Kristen and others. Like, so he is a second year associate at a big law firm doing transactional work. I don't really know what he does. So Kristen, like you, he says words and they just go over my head and I'm like, I don't know what you're saying. I know the lingo, but I have no idea what you do. I honestly, up until 3 months ago, had no idea what his day-to-day looked like. And I always just used to tell people that all he does is edit PDFs, but apparently he does. News to me. So I think it kind of depends. I think it's nice that for us, at least, since we're both in big law, we understand, like we have the, like a very, I think that's what's important, whether they're in your field or not, is that understanding that, like, you know, there was a period of time, I think it was before I started working, in between taking the bar and working, where we had planned a date night for Friday and he ended up having a deal that needed to get closed. And so he had to cancel. And I was like, no big deal. You know, like, this is just how it is. Like, I know this is what big law's like. And so I think there's something about, at least he like intimately understands. So neither of us ever feel bad. Neither of us ever, you know, blame the other one, resent the other one when we have to work or we have to, like, you know, pull out our laptop, answer an email, whatever. So something nice about that. So I think it's more about just that understanding more so than anything, from my opinion.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, my boyfriend's a creative strategist, and I really like that because that's kind of adjacent to the industry I was in. So I always talk to him like, what's going on now? What's good in the industry now? Can you tell me about like Grammys weekend? Like, what's going on with that? So that's pretty cool. And I was very like against dating someone who was like in law school or also a lawyer. I don't know. I just felt like I didn't want to hear about their summary judgment motion or I had a lot of that already, and I just wanted something different and someone to just give me a different perspective. So I think it works out perfectly for me and him.
Yeah, definitely. So my boyfriend is like, he has his own company. He has like a few companies. So like, I feel like, and he was also in grad school when we first met. He graduated now this past summer. But I feel like for us, I definitely don't think I could date a lawyer because like my own personality is a lot for me. So picturing somebody else with a similar personality, I feel like there's no way that would work. But like he is very, very, very busy. Like, I mean, I know we're busy in law school, but when I look at his schedule, when he's like, if I like just look over at his computer, I'm like, yeah, you're definitely busier than me. So I think that works. Like, I think it works because it's like, he's not like, oh, why can't you call? Why can't you text? Why can't you do this? Like, he gets it. So I think having somebody that just is busy and like also not just like, you know, just like not really clingy works out if you're in law school for sure. And I guess we'll do this because you two are like, you're 1L and you were dating before, but so I guess you and I can talk about like dating different type of people or other people before that were not supportive. So yeah. I know, like, I'll let you start.
you know all about my situation. So yeah, I dated my first and second year where I was dating, and there was one guy I was with on and off, and it was super stressful. Like, you think law school is stressful? This relationship, honestly, I have always said was more stressful than law school. Like, I thought law school was fine compared to this relationship. And it was just one of the most stressful things. Like, there were times that I was like driving down to Long Beach from LA, which is a long drive in traffic on a Friday, because he would never come up and see me. Like, it was just really bad. And so it took a lot of time and energy to manage doing law school, maintaining the relationship. I also worked during law school the entire time. So like, it was very stressful. And I think it's like night and day between my relationship now and my relationship then. And so my husband and I got together. It was like, I think right around my second semester 3L. So we weren't together through a lot of law school. And we actually didn't start dating until, we were friends first. We didn't start dating until right around graduation. But even before then, I went to his law prom with him, and I was writing my SAW paper towards the end of my second semester. You guys all know what that's like. And so he would drive from downtown. I lived on the west side. He would drive to the west side and just like bring me snacks. Like, he would bring me like my favorite stuff from McDonald's. He'd like bring me cookies, just like, here, like, I know you're working, like, here you go. Like, and it was so sweet. And so when COVID hit, like, we started hanging out all the time. And so it's just like night and day between having someone that's like supportive versus not supportive. And I think I don't know, my world, like I just have so much more free time. Like it's wild how much more free time you have when you're in a healthy relationship as opposed to like not, because I'm like, wow, if I had had a healthy relationship during law school or no relationship at all, you know, it wouldn't, like law school would not have been as stressful as it was. So I don't know if you have like, you know, Lataysia, I don't know if you have other experiences or not.
No, I relate for sure. So like when I first started 1L, like I had just ended a relationship, like maybe that June or July, but it's been like it was like an on and off for years type of relationship, situationship. And so when I moved here, like, you know, for like maybe the first 3 months, I'm like, I'm not talking to you. And then the holidays came around and then, you're coming to visit and blah, blah, blah. And then it's like you stress me out so much. Like even being sometimes like you think you want to see someone and then being in their presence stresses you out. And I'm like, even you being here right now is stressing me out. And then when you go back home, I'm going to be stressed out because I'm going to be wondering what you're doing and who you're with. And I can't even study because I'm thinking about all of those things. And also it's like when I try to call you and tell you like, oh, this happened today in class, and it stressed me out.
And they don't care. That's the
no concept. Yeah, you don't care. You have no concept. So I think also dating somebody that also was like, I don't know how to say this nicely, like ambitious as well, also can help if you're in law school, because dating somebody who like doesn't care about anything and you're like over here like I'm working really hard and you're just like, oh, you're in law school, you're fine.
Yeah.
No, I am actually stressed out.
I don't know. People think that it's not that big of a deal. Like people say, oh my gosh, law school is so hard, you know, but then they don't realize like what that means, like what it actually, like the actual lived experience is. And I don't know. I just think like some people don't care about making the other person's life easier. Like it's, you know, it's selfishness. It's, you know, it's probably, you know, deep-seated trauma. Let me get on my therapy soapbox. But, you know, like it's just like there's a lot of stuff. And so I don't know. I think you're right, Lataysia. Finding someone that's just as ambitious as you are. And again, I think it goes to the busy thing too. You know, I have another friend who's in finance and he's super busy and he was always dating, and just a lot of the people he was dating weren't, you know, just didn't understand like why he didn't text back. And I was like, you never text me back, and I've been your best friend for like years. I was like, if they can't understand that you work a lot of hours, it's just not going to work. And so he finally found someone that understands. So he's happy now. But yeah, you know, I definitely agree with you, Lataysia.
Yeah, like I think it's just about finding somebody that like actually wants to understand you. I think that's the main thing. Like,
yeah, I think that's huge. That's huge. And I think I didn't realize that until Jalen and I got together, because he now knows sewing terms. It's wild. Like it's so crazy. He'll go to this like fabric store with me and I'm like, oh, can you find, you know, X, Y, and Z? And he goes and like gets it. He knows what, you know, he's like, oh, did you, you know, he'll like impress me all the time. And I now watch sports to do the same thing for him. And it's like, that's the first time I've ever tried. You know, I've definitely dated guys who are into sports, but I didn't care enough to do it, you know, because I didn't feel it was reciprocal. So I definitely agree. I think the same goes for law school, you know, like I try to listen when he talks about deals. It's very hard for me, but he listens when I talk about like, oh, I filed a motion today.
Yeah, that's what doesn't interest me. I have no interest in litigation. Like I don't, like summary judgment, no, I'm not.
Yeah. You pick one and that's it. Like, I don't know. People are always like, oh, like I had a friend who went to a family gathering recently and they're like, oh, you're a lawyer. Can you help me with X, Y, and Z? And she's like, that's definitely not what I do. Like you guys think everything. We don't. We have like one thing. That's it. We do one thing and that's it. Like we're very single track kind of situation, niche stuff. So
yeah. Yeah. So I think that's just the big thing. Like finding somebody that actually wants to understand you, doesn't want to stress you out. Mm-hmm. And like I think you'll be fine, because some people are just like toxic and it's just like in them and you gotta let them go. Like it's just like you just can't change. It's impossible. So I'm just gonna exit the situation. So yeah. Okay. But have you guys, like, I know Amanda, you're at 1L, but like have you seen any other situations where you're like the relationship fell apart while they were in law school? Like have you witnessed that? Because I have people that I know that were dating and it was like, wait, what happened? So I don't know, like I guess we don't know their whole story, but like what do you think about that? Or like why do you think that happened for them?
No, I haven't like personally seen any, but I know, so like coming into law school, because my boyfriend lives on the East Coast, we were like, we're going to be like long distance, but super long distance because of the time zone issue. So we definitely, I remember we were like sitting on like Miami Beach and we had like this long conversation about like, what is this going to look like? Like, what is our like long-term goals in the relationship? How are we going to get there? Are we going to take a more non-traditional route? Are we going to like stick to what we're doing? And I think that helped. But like I do remember being like a crazy like before law school, like just looking up on Reddit everything, like how do you maintain a relationship in law?
That's so scary though. Oh my gosh. It's like that Reddit hole about dating in law school is so scary. And I don't know if you guys had the same issue, but like I remember as a 1L, I'm pretty sure one of my first classes, like first week of classes was like, if you're in a relationship, look to your left, look to your right, only one of them is going to survive. It was like, it wasn't even that whole, like, only one of you will be here at the end. It was like, one of your relationships is going to survive, like, out of all of them. I don't know if your professors told you that. They're like, tell your parents you're not going to talk to them, you know, don't expect to hear from you. Like, super, like, they just want to, like, shock you, you know? I was like, I got to stay away from Reddit.
You're not wrong, but, like...
Yeah, they're definitely not. But and you gotta start the first week of like 1L off like that.
Intense. That's actually insane. But yeah, I was like super stressed. I was like, they're saying it won't last. Like, oh my God. But then I realized like with everything with law school Reddit, it doesn't really matter or doesn't really count.
Yeah, literally.
Law school Reddit is not the place to get your advice from, y'all.
Information, like no advice at all, nothing.
Exactly.
Also, I think like dating in law school, depending on the school, like it's a little risky. You got to know that like your business will not be private. Like my school is like less than 200 people, and so if you're dating, like people know, and like it's just harder to deal with things privately, especially if you're like telling some people and you're like, don't tell, they're gonna tell, and then like. I don't know. I feel like it just makes it harder. It's like the court of public opinion is weighing in on your relationship if you're going through a rocky time. Yeah, literally. Yeah. But I've seen some successful relationships that are still going strong, and like a couple of others that may have failed. And I don't know what was going on there, but I do feel like a big part of what makes a relationship between two people in law school specifically fail or succeed is like understanding that you both are going to be like pushed to your absolute limit and like still being able to like be there for each other and like as much as you can like prioritize each other. Like you still have to, because like no one wants to feel like someone's second option, and so it's just like it takes a little work, and it might take like adapting like, okay, well, where before I may have prioritized you by like taking you out on like this really fancy date, maybe it's just like, okay, we study together, I'll get food this time, like you get it next time, whatever.
I think that, and I think you said something that was really good. Prioritizing each other, that, and I think not comparing yourselves to each other.
Oh yeah,
that's the other big thing. I think law school is such a comparison game. Like you're constantly comparing yourself to everybody else, and I think it's especially hard if you go to one of like the top law schools where it's like creme de la creme, like you're comparing yourself. You forget how smart you are when you're surrounded by other really, really smart people, right? And so you start to, second guess yourself. And then when you're doing that in your relationship too, I think it can be really difficult. And so I think that there is something to be said either about, not taking classes together or just like not really like having, like, I know in my friend group, at least, like there was like a core group of us. We just didn't talk about law school. It's kind of like, Fight Club. It was like, virtual law Fight Club. So we didn't really talk about it. Like we talked about, classes and stuff, but we didn't really talk about grades. Like we didn't really waste our time on that. We like try to keep it more, light and fun, because like law school stressful as it is. And so I don't know. I think there's something like in a relationship between two law students too that's like, I think that there's about boundaries. I think it's about, just being, compassionate and understanding. Like you guys are both really stressed. Like you guys both have a lot on your plates, both have a lot of work going on, and just not, comparing yourselves to each other either. Because, for example, so Jalen, my husband, went to USC for law school. He graduated with a great GPA. And I graduated with like a fine GPA. I don't really care. And I'm always just like, man, you're so smart. I always like hype him up. I always mess with him. I'm like, oh, you like actually studied and tried. I didn't try hard enough, whatever. So I don't know. I think it's like, don't take it that seriously and like make it that, because I think if you start comparing yourself, then that kind of is gonna breed resentment, just kind of in the relationship too. So.
I think so. And I think even if you're dating someone that's not in law school, I think if you're dating someone in general that tries to compare, like, oh, you're not that busy, I'm doing this.
Yes.
I'm doing that. It's like, either way, why are we comparing? Can we just sit here and find a time to talk to each other and be happy? Like, it's just like, it shouldn't be a comparison at all. I feel like I get the law school thing, but in general, it shouldn't be like, well, I made time for you and I'm doing this. It should just be like, yeah, like, let's just get to a mutual understanding here. This is not like us against each other. It's like, we're trying to fix the issue, you know? So
And I think to that point, like Jalen and I, so obviously we're both in Big Law.
yeah.
None of our weeks sync. Like, I'll have a super crazy busy week, and then he'll have a super crazy busy week, and then he'll be quiet, and I'll still be busy. You know, it's like none of our weeks sync, and so we don't even think about it as like who is more busy than each other in a comparison sense. It's more of like, okay, you're really busy right now, so I'll take care of the laundry, I'll do the dishes, like I'll tap in, you know, and handle the stuff that you normally do, so that you can like focus on work, sleep, you know, and maintaining self-care. And like we just kind of go back and forth. I don't know, there's that like give and take. Like, it's never, you know, we're both giving 100%, but like our 100% might look different like each day. And I think that goes like you said, for any relationship, and especially for people who are just busy, whether you're lawyers or not. Like, it gets stressful, and you kind of have to figure out a way to balance it all, you know.
Exactly. So I feel like Kristen, myself, and Amanda are all in long distance relationships. So like, I guess for us, like, how often do you see your significant other, and do you think that has an impact on the relationship working?
So last year we were online. Last semester, I don't even know at this point.
Yeah, at this point.
It's all blur. Last semester, I only went home for like the holidays, which first semester there's like Thanksgiving, and that's already at the end anyways. And then he came down for Halloween, and so I only saw him like twice during the semester, and we like would FaceTime and text often, but it was really hard. And so I like seeing him, and so I kind of made a shift again, like a shift in your priorities, and I kind of switched some things around in my budget, where I've been getting flights back up to the Bay Area like once a month. And that's kind of nice, just for my own mental health, getting out of downtown, going back to somewhere like I'm really familiar with, really comfortable with, and being able to see him is like just a nice break. And then those weekends, like, even if I do have a lot, I just kind of pretend it's not there, and just like, you know what, this is for me. Like, I can work twice as hard when I'm back, but I need this right now, or else I'm just going to burn out. And I think that's made a huge improvement on just my like feelings of loneliness or like missing him or whatever. So that's been really helpful.
Yeah, I know for us, so we've always been long distance, and during COVID, like, I would go to Philadelphia, he would come to South Florida. So we would split that, and it'd be like every month and a half. But now he just takes a lot of trips to LA. I think since I've been out here, I've only went to Philadelphia once, and that was over the holidays. But he's out here like every maybe month and a half, because the flight is ridiculous. I also hate flying, so I'm glad he's willing to like sit on that like 5-hour flight.
Long flight.
That, you know, but he spends like maybe like 10 days, 2 weeks at a time. Yeah, I'm just very grateful he's willing to do that. Also, like, he hates summers in Philadelphia, so it's like it works out both ways. But yeah, I feel like what's interesting about our relationship, like, we've never been in person. Like, we've never like lived in our two separate places in the same city and like lived life like that. So I think like that's our next step, and that's like scary for me, but like I'm excited for it. So yeah.
Do you think it'll like change the relationship? Do you think that you will be like more focused on like him, you know, instead of like law school? Do you worry about that? I wouldn't, but I'm asking if you do.
Yeah, no, I think like it's very interesting. I think like we built a really good foundation. And this was very weird. Like, I still feel very young, and I'm like, that's a great foundation. Like, you know, being long distance and like just having to talk the whole time, just being on FaceTime for like hours at a time. I really got to know each other. I do get kind of worried, but like when he's out here, I feel like those are like the trial runs. And like, it's actually a really good like break from law school for me, at least. Like, I love all my friends in law school, like everyone's amazing, but like I don't want to talk about your semi-judgment motion or like, you know, like that's where the conversation like ends up like to a class or like, what are you doing for your job or whatever. And with him, it's not like, he doesn't want to hear about that. And I'm like, thank you, God. Think about it. So to answer your question, I think it will be fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, Amanda, like you're saying, like, I thought you raised a really good point. You're built, like, as tough as long distance can be, you're building a really strong foundation of communication, because like you can't play games over long distance. It just will not work. Like you can't be like, okay, talk to you later. It's like, no, shush. Like,
exactly.
Talk it out and then we can move on.
Exactly. And I feel like there's just so much, like, I don't want to say so much at stake, but like, if it doesn't work, like, let's just end it. You know what I mean? We're like both very like committed. We're like, yeah, we want this to work. We're going to do anything for this to work. We have to be super open, super honest, like great communication. So that has helped me mature a lot. So I'm very thankful for that.
Honestly, I think that, obviously, so Jayla and I had the complete opposite of you guys. We moved in after, I think we had been dating like maybe 6 weeks, and we were like, let's get a place together. Worst case scenario, it's a 2-bedroom. We can live as roommates for the rest of the rent, the lease, whatever. That was literally like, we were just like, it was like the beginning of COVID. Both of our leases were going to be out. We're like, let's just go for it. Like, whatever, COVID's crazy. We don't know what's going to happen. Like, let's just try it. It's fine. And so we're never long distance. We've actually only spent like 6 nights apart in our entire 2 years together. It's we're like together all the time. And so but I agree. I think there is like the reason why it works and like that we're okay spending so much time together is we've communicated so much. Like during COVID, it was just the two of us, like 24/7, like all the time. And so I think you guys are absolutely right. Like, he and I say all the time, the only reason why, one of the big factors that makes our relationship so like healthy is that we talk we talk everything out. Like whenever one of us is in a mood, the other one can tell. I mean, you always know. And so you're just like, all right, what's wrong? Like spill it. Like we don't take anything personal. Like we just want to get through it and like figure it out together and move past whatever the thing is. And so I think you guys are absolutely right. And, props to you for being able to maintain the relationship and like do the communication, because that's hard. I mean, that takes work, and it takes like you said, it takes growth, Amanda. Like it takes like really pushing yourself to be willing to be vulnerable and like, not play those games that you can play in person about being, turning to the side and like, you can't do that stuff. Like you said, Chris, you can't do that stuff, like you would normally just like, I'm fine, nothing's wrong. Like, yeah.
No, yeah, literally same. So I feel like I see my boyfriend a lot, but I think it's just because of the industry that he's in. He's always in LA. So I mean, I think I see him a lot. So that's probably also better for me, because if it was like a true long distance where I didn't see him for like 2 or 3 months, it probably wouldn't work for me. If I'm being honest, it's not my thing. It wouldn't work for me. So like I see him a lot. I see him like more than once a month. So I think that works. And also like, he lives somewhere that I have to go a lot to because it's close to my family. So anytime I want to go home, I have to fly into that city. So, I mean, I think it works for us. And I think, like you said, we do have to communicate. Like, we do have to be like, you actually cannot be mad right now. We're going to talk about this. So, like, it does actually force you to, like, learn how to communicate better. So I think that when we live together, too, just like you were saying, Amanda, our communication will be, like, we'll have that figured out by then. So we'll know how to work around stuff, for sure. Yeah. So I guess with that though, like, so for all of us, like, how do you balance like school, work, and then a relationship? Like, did you have like a schedule? Did you make sure like, oh, I'm going to make sure I do this with you every week? Or like, how did you actually come up with that balance? Or was it just like natural, Like, did it just happen naturally, or did you sit there and like plan it out? I know, Amanda, you mentioned y'all talked like before, but did you actually plan it out, or did that plan completely change?
No, we didn't. So we only planned out like the seeing each other like a month or like a month and a half but I don't even know. I kind of just call him whenever, but I have to take into account like the time zones, which is like very annoying. Just like, I don't know, not in a bad way, but like he needs to sleep, he needs to get up and go to work. But he works from home and he has a pretty like flexible like job. So he'll just let me know, like, hey, I'm in a meeting for 30 minutes. Like, I'll call you when I'm out. Or I'll say, like, I have class. Like, I'll call you when I'm, like, walking to the bus stop or something. So we, like, make it work. But it's also, like, I want to talk to him. It doesn't feel like a chore. Like, I enjoy, like, that's my best friend, Like, I really want to talk to you and tell you about my day. And, like, I'd rather walk home and talk to you than, like, sit on the bus and, like, have everyone around you and I can't hear you. So, yeah.
That makes sense. I don't know, Kristen, Zoe.
Yeah. So I think, I mean, like based on what you're saying, it's the communication again. Like I think it, like I hate to say it, but it all does kind of come back to that. I think for Jalen and I, it's the same thing. You know, I was mentioning like when one of us has a busy week, like we tell each other, you know, we say like, hey, like today I just want you to know today's gonna be a really busy day for me. Like I like for me especially, like I have like such a, you know, it's hard for me to focus, especially sitting at this desk. Long hours, like it's so different from law school to go from doing that to working full-time and working full-time in big law on top of it. Like it's a completely different beast. And so it's taken me a while to adjust. And so, you know, days that I know I have like 3-4 meetings plus like 2 assignments I have to get done, you know, I always am like, hey, like I love you. His office is right next to mine. I'm like, I love you, but like I need you to like leave me alone today. There's no little chit chat in the middle of the day, whatever. You know, I get distracted. I'll go and sit in his office and talk to him, whatever. And so, you know, when I'm really stressed or, you know, especially, and when I'm stressed too, I communicate that because I know I am a different person and he knows I'm a different person and he knows how to like handle me differently when I'm stressed versus when I'm, you know, playful and normal, you know? And so when I'm like really stressed, I'm like, hey, I'm really stressed right now. And so he's like, okay, got it. I'm not gonna, the man, 80% of what comes out of his mouth is a joke. And so he's like super playful, always wants to make jokes, always wants to like just mess around, you know, just be, you know, he's hilarious. He's funny. And so he always is in that mode. And so when he knows when I'm stressed, I'm like, I don't want that. I don't need that energy. Like I just need to focus. I need to get it done, whatever I need to get done. And so I think that's kind of how we balance it. And I think making time for each other has been really important, making time to connect, making time to talk, making time to just be in each other's presence. And you know, I don't want to sound cliche, but I think figuring out each other's love languages was really important because we're pretty similar, but we are still a little bit different. And so there are things that are important to him that I make like a cognizant effort to do so that he knows like, okay, I'm thinking about you. Like I understand that this is going to make you feel like appreciated and loved. And I think one other thing that we do that works really well for us, at least, is like we have like questions that we do together every night before we go to bed. Like we haven't missed a single night in our entire relationship. Even when we're apart, like we call and do them on the phone. Or like when he's out, you know, with his friends and he comes back late, like I wake back up and I'm like, okay, we gotta do our questions. Like, so we do our questions, and our questions, we have 3 questions. It's how did I make you feel appreciated today? What are you looking forward to tomorrow? And how can I make your day, you know, how can I make your days easier? And so it's kind of a nice little check-in. And then we do like anything else you want to talk about. So if like they did something that made you upset earlier in the day, like if he like said something that I didn't bring up in the moment, like I'll bring it up then. I'd be like, oh, you know, I really didn't like that you did X, Y, or Z. Like, I just want to let you know. So like moving forward, like, you know, we can avoid that. And so it's like a really nice daily check-in that we do. And so like, you know, if he's looking forward to something, I can check in with him the next day. Like, oh, like that thing you were telling me about, like, how'd that go? Did you have fun? Whatever, was it enjoyable? Was it stressful? Whatever, you know? And I think those moments are really nice. And it's a nice like wind down because he doesn't always go to bed at the same time that I do. So it's a nice wind down. Like I'll go to bed and he'll go, you know, watch TV or do whatever. And so I don't know. I think it really works for us to have those like moments just to check in daily, even if we both had crazy days and haven't seen each other all day because we've been working. So and that's how we balance it.
Yeah, my boyfriend and I didn't plan anything out. We were like, all right, like I'll talk to you, because we went to separate undergrads too. They were like in a similar area, but we've just always kind of been on that rhythm of like, I'll text you when I can, and when I'm not, no, I'm thinking about you. It did have to get a little more because there were a couple times where like, since I've been flying home more, I was like, can you pick me up from the airport this week? He's like, I didn't know you were coming home. Like, I'm not going to be here this week. I'm like, oh, no. So that's had to, my bad, communicate a little bit more about that. But yeah, we have like a good morning and good night text. We'll always send that, even if it's at like, if we're not going to bed at the same time. And then past that, it's just like, kind of back to what you were saying at the beginning, Zoe, just like that understanding, like if he's not texting me during the day, like I'm fine. Yeah. And again, that's where it's really important to like have someone who's also super ambitious and like, or like busy, because then they're not sitting around being like, why is she not texting me? Like, just no, like I am busy. I will text you when I can, and if I'm not, you're fine.
I think that, and I think it also is just like, so it's like the busyness, but it's also just like a self-assuredness. Like it's not me not texting you is not about you. Like me not texting you is about me having 15,000 things to do and I just can't get to my phone. You know, there are times that I just don't look at I get distracted when I look at my phone anyway. I end up on Instagram or TikTok or something. And so, you know, I'd much rather have my phone tossed away. I have, you know, to any of my friends, if you watch this, I'm sorry I haven't texted you back. You know, that's the vibe, you know, and so it's not about you. It really is not, you know, and I think having those people in your life, whether it's, you know, romantic relationship or not, is going to be law school and post law school a lot easier, because if you have those people who are stressing you constantly, just like, why aren't you paying me attention? Why aren't you, you know, like we both have some of those friends that, you know, they've become like distant friends because it's just like, you guys just don't understand that like things change. And I think this period of life. So I was pretty much a straight through. I did my master's in between undergrad and law school. And so I think, you know, watching some of my friendships change over the years, like, you know, people who have been friends with like pre-law school and now post-law school and that kind of stuff. It's interesting to see how they have to change, because you're growing up from being in college where you have all this free time, and then going to grad school where you have some free time, but it's like sporadic, and you know, it's never, you know, there's no routine, you know, there's no real rhythm besides classes. And so now to being in working where my free time is so random. Like sometimes my family calls me at 3 p.m. on a Tuesday and I can answer. Sometimes I am, you know, this deep in a hole, like doing whatever. And so I think having this mood just like understand it's not about them. Like it's like, I'm sorry.
No, I agree. I think like, I know this is about relationships, but even with friendships, like I know if my friends watch this, whatever, but like, I know I have some friends that I'm just like, oh, they're like, why haven't I saw you in 3 months? I live down the street. I'm like, I don't know, come over. Like I am busy. And it's not, and then it's like during the times where I'm not busy, like you may think like, oh, how did you watch a whole Netflix series? I needed that time for myself. It's not personal. Like it's like law school will stress you out to the point where you're like, when I do have free time, I would like to relax. And relaxing for me is this, you know? So I just feel like having people around you to like try to understand that and don't like take everything personal, whether that's a friend or a boyfriend, girlfriend, I think that's great. Because people that take things personal when you're in law school, that stresses you out even more.
And I think you're right. I think like, an example is like my husband's best friend, like when they were all in law school, they were going out, like drinking, hanging out all the time because you have so much more time. And now that we've all graduated, you know, he's married now, obviously, and so it's a different dynamic. But you know, even their relationship has changed, and now she's like, I'm fine just to come over and hang out and like watch a movie. Like we don't have to go out and do things. And that's like, thank you. You know, sometimes it's like, that's all we want to do. We don't want to leave the house. Like we already worked all week. Like we just want to sit on the couch and veg out. Like we don't want to do anything. So like when she said that, I was like, dude, like if you're down with that, like come over forever. We don't care because we're going to be here on the couch. Like that's legitimately where we're going to be. And so, you know, it's like watching that relationship change, I think was really, it's like really nice, because I was like very worried. It was like, you know, she's your best friend. Like I want you guys to maintain that. Like obviously it's hard if she lives all the way on the west side. It's like a far away. And so it's nice that like the dynamic has also shifted to where, you know, there's that mutual understanding that like sometimes it's just like, we don't want to go out to a bar. We don't want to go out and like do something. We just want to like hang out with each other. I think we've gotten to be that like couple and like friend group that does stuff in the house. Like we've done like a game night now, and like we're now trying to host like monthly brunches, because we like Lataysia, like you're saying, like we don't see our friends for like months at a time. Like I saw my best friend, like my law school best friend, last night, and I realized I hadn't seen her since like mid-February. And I was like, yo, this is not okay. And so, you know, we're trying to host like monthly brunches and invite like all of our friends over. So like, okay, we're gonna see all y'all at once, and then we'll come next month. It's like, you know, just so much easier.
Literally. No, that makes perfect sense. So I guess another question is like, can you think of something that you have to sacrifice for your relationship? Like having the relationship and being in law school, like anything specific? What do you think?
I can think of stuff. I mean, and you guys might not be able to relate yet, but you will get there. I have to live with somebody else 24/7, 365 for the rest of my life, which is like amazing. Like, don't get me wrong, I love it. Mm-hmm. He also drives me almost everywhere, so I almost never drive. And when I do have to drive myself places, it's a very sad moment for me, because I'm like, he likes driving, so it's great. And so like, obviously I love living with my best friend. It is the most amazing thing. But then every now and then I'm like, I just want the house to myself. Like, it's not even like I'm going to do anything. It's not even like I want to do anything crazy that I'm not already doing. I just want to like sit this like vibe, you know, just here by myself, because I was so used to living alone for so long. And I mean him too, like he's used to living alone as well. And so we both have these moments that we're just like, we just like, one of us has to leave the house. Like, you got to go out and do your thing with your people and like, give me some space here. And like, I got to go out, you know, vice versa. And so I think that's like been the biggest sacrifice. That's not really a law school thing. But then I think the other thing is like, I mean, you lose time. I mean, you lose some of your free time. You're giving up some of that time that you would spend taking care of yourself, like nurturing your own, like, whether it's working out, you know, your self-care routine, whatever, like you end up having to give up some of that for them. And like more often than not, obviously it's an enjoyable experience. It's not like a typical sacrifice, but it's, you know, sometimes like you're like, okay, I wish I could do X, but I do need to pour into my relationship. So I need to do, you know, this is what I need to prioritize. And so I think, you know, I think and that's like a sacrifice I think you make in any relationship, but I think especially when you're in like a stressful environment and like, you know, career like being a lawyer, you know, that it does, you know, some days it's like, oh man, I have to go sit here and listen to him ask me sports trivia questions and try and be nice.
No, I'm with you. I get that. So I think like even going back to like the whole like planning thing. So I know like I said, like my boyfriend will try to send me his schedule to what he can share. And then like he has my entire class schedule. I feel like he forgets it every other week though, but he has the schedule.
You're like, I tried.
I'm like, the class schedule did not change. It's the same for all this semester. But yeah, I feel like even like you were saying, Kristen, like if I'm going to Atlanta, I'm like, okay, I'll be there. And he's like, oh, I'm actually not going to be there, but I'll have this out, you know, we'll figure it out this way. And so I think talking about things like that, since we are both very busy and we do like, I try to travel there a lot, but he's also just traveling in general. I think like having like, talking about each other's schedules every week, I think also helps a lot. Like saying like, I have this coming up this week. I have this coming up next month. So, you know, put this on your calendar. Like he'll share his flights with me. So I'll know like, so I think like sharing as much as you can about the schedule for the week, I think that'll help in a relationship. But also I think, I was going to say something else and I completely forgot it. Great. Wonderful. I don't know what else I was going to say. I can't remember. I don't know. But I guess I'll think of it. I'll try to think of it. But I guess like if you guys could just like summarize this, like what do you think is like the main thing to maintaining a relationship in law school? Like quick summary, like what do you think people should really keep in mind? Or do you think maybe the opposite, like you shouldn't try to maintain a relationship in law school? Final thoughts at this point.
Okay. I think I would boil it down to just the like compassion that we've been talking about, empathy, maybe like, yeah, of course, law school's super hard. You're going through a lot. They have their own life. Like they're, as much as they're there to support you, you still got to support them. Like relationships are two-way streets. And then just like remember why you're in the relationship with them in the first place. Like you can put a ton of work into it, but then if it seems like a chore, then maybe it's not something you want to be in. Like you need to be able to like still find like, oh yeah, like I love this person. Like they're like my favorite person to be around. They always make me happy.
Yeah. I remember what I was going to say. So I was going to say, like in terms of like sacrificing and like doing things you don't want to do, if you're like, oh, like how you were saying, like you have to listen to his sports trivia. So since my boyfriend is like a CEO, like there's like a lot of engagements he has to go to. And while they help me because we want to be in the same industry, like I want to do it from the legal side. Like I'm like, oh, I should want to go here, but I'm like, I'm really tired. I put on this makeup and put on this dress and go because I'm like, I know it's important to you and I know you want me there. So I think you do have to make sacrifices like that. There's like things that are important and big to the other person. But even if you are tired, I think you have to understand like, okay, you still need to be there for them. So that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
But final thoughts.
Yeah. So I agree. I second everything Kristen said. And I also will say, I think coming from the perspective of someone who is, if you're trying to get into a relationship, so I think you guys, you know, Kristen and Amanda, you guys are like a maintaining relationships. But I think if you're trying to get into a relationship, keep your standards, like don't settle. Like, and I mean, that goes for anything, but like especially in law school, like don't settle. And I think it's very easy to do. You get to law school, and maybe this is just me. I think this is everybody. But you get to law school, like, oh, who's cute? Like, oh, are they single? Like, I don't know if you guys sized everybody up. You're like, oh, like so-and-so's cute. Like, I'm gonna try and get to know them, whatever. And so I'm like, don't get me wrong, I think I got there. I'm like, there ain't nobody really
Yeah,
here.
like, there's nobody cute.
I think if you're gonna date within your law school, depending on the size of your law school, be careful. You really only get like 1 or 2 tries before it gets to be a little sus. So be careful with like, and I don't want to sound like scary, but like just be cognizant, kind of like what Kristen was saying earlier on, like the word will spread. So like make sure that you're ready for that, because even if you think you told the person never gonna tell your secret, somebody's gonna find out. Somebody's gonna see something, somebody's gonna know something, especially with social media, like it's gonna get out there. And so just make sure you're okay with that, and like you're, you know, ready to deal with whatever that comes, good or bad, you know, whatever that comes from that, like just make sure you're okay with that, because I think, you know, that's gonna happen. And so I think in terms of like relationships in law school, it is just like understanding. And I think, you know, Kristen hit the nail on the head, like you, just because you're in law school doesn't give you a pass to be an absent participant to your relationship. Like you still have to show up for them the way that they're showing up for you, even if you are stressed, even if you are tired. Like, do you have to do it all the time? No, but like you do need to do it, because otherwise it's just not going to work. And so communicate. Like tell them all of the stuff.
Yeah, I think for me, as someone maintaining a relationship, I think law school is really gonna put your relationship to the test. It's like the big like pressure cooker. Like, is it gonna make or break your relationship? And it's gonna expose like a lot of the strengths and the weaknesses in your relationship. So I look at a lot of things like this, but like, how bad do you want it? Like, how bad do you want to work this out with your partner? How bad do you want like that future y'all might have talked about? So yeah, that's my like final thing, like just keeping that in mind. Like it's just gonna expose a lot.
I think, all right, one more thing to add. If you're trying to get in a relationship, like put yourself out there. Like law school, of course, is tiring and exhausting, but like you're not gonna, if what you want is a relationship, like you're not gonna get a relationship by like not trying. Like it's not always gonna fall in your lap. Like you have to be putting yourself out there, whether that means like trying to date or even just like mentally putting yourself out there. Because I think that was the difference between me finding Jalen and not, like, and the other people I dated. Like I was trying, but I wasn't open and like ready to receive like that pure, you know, healthy love. Like that just wasn't there. And so I think just make sure you're on the right page. Like I had a friend who she didn't want a relationship, so she shut it all off and was like, no, I don't want to do it. And now like she's changing her mindset. And so yeah, I think just, you know, if you're looking for a relationship in law school, like understand it'll be difficult. It is doable though. I think that's like the big take home, I think, from all 4 of us. Like you can do it. Like don't let everyone else like who tells you can't, like it's so hard. Like yes, it's hard, but you're already in law school and that's hard too. So, you know, clearly you can do hard things. So just like, you know, just do it. Like if that's what you want, then do it. So
exactly. Okay, that'll be the final word. So thank you. That was perfect.
Okay guys, so that's the end of the video. I thought that was like a good point to end the video. Of course, like, subscribe, comment, all of that. I feel so weird continuously saying that now, but yeah, do that. Let me know what other videos you guys want to see down below. Hopefully I will be able to post another video. I'm gonna try to like get on this consistent schedule of doing every Tuesday, even if it's like a 10-minute video, 8-minute video, but yeah, we'll see. So yeah, see y'all in my next video. Bye y'all.